What does it mean to truly live? Finding the answer to that question changed my life. A few years ago, my family and I began Operation View. We sold our house, packed up our newly renovated RV, and headed straight up a dusty dirt road into the mountains. I had never stayed in an RV, and now we were about to live in one, with our 2 young kids in a place no one had ever lived before, in the heart of the Colorado wild. I'm no stranger to moving. Growing up, I moved over 50 times and lived in 19 different states, watching my parents chase job after job in search of their American dream. They always believed the next job would be the permanent one, but it never was. I craved putting down roots and belonging somewhere, and especially after having kids, it made that feeling so much more urgent. Living in the city was good. Our tiny backyard was full of toys, our pet chickens, and 17 neighboring roofs above the fence line. We lived for the weekends and filled our nights with Netflix, a routine that got old really fast. So when I found this somewhat random mountain property for sale, our curious minds had to see it. When I first walked out on the land and I took in the beauty of the mountain view and the city view and the clouds and the trees and the sounds that would become my new backyard, it didn't feel like the wilderness. I felt I had finally come home. And that moment marked a new chapter in our lives because we did something I didn't think we would ever do. We said yes to the possibilities, the risks, and the challenges of the land, and traded our city life for a grittier, off-grid life. When I say off-grid, what do you picture? Is it a mossy hut in the woods without cell phones or electricity? Today, I'm going to show you a different picture. What if I told you living off-grid could include every modern convenience? Things like air conditioning, heat, computers, and cell phones. The truth is, living off-grid means being in charge of your own utilities. Instead of relying on a utility company, you rely on yourself. And with a little bit of research and planning, it could include the things you'd find in a modern home. As a modern family, this was important to me. With young kids in school and activities to go to, we didn't go off-grid to go back in time or get away from it all. We went off-grid to have it all. We saw the views and the acreage, but most importantly, we saw ourselves living a life with everything we need, no matter what happens in the world or in the city. All we had to do was create it all on our own from scratch. And we did, and stepped into modern off-grid living, something so empowering that I believe it could become the next sought-out luxury. Modern off-grid living blends nature with technology, creates a greener footprint, reconnects us to nature, and opens the door to what it means to truly live. On our first day off-grid, we began with what we knew, an RV and a generator. That was okay, but we noticed a couple things, like generators are loud and require a lot of fuel and maintenance. Today, we have a solar power system large enough to power a small house. It's silent, reliable, and sustainable. The difference in these systems is significant. They both worked and both secured our livelihood, but one blended nature with technology, whereas the other fought it. Blending nature with technology looks like harnessing the power of the sun with the technology to convert that energy into things like refrigeration, air conditioning, and even vacuuming. I will never forget the first time I vacuumed on solar power. That was a blend of cleaning and dance. The sun was powering my vacuum. If we could do that, what else could we do? We then added a washer and dryer, a dishwasher, a juicer, and even completed months of online learning, all done completely off the grid with the power of the sun. This type of sustainability is luxury. How many of us have ever had to pay to have the sun come up? Solar is only one example. Other blends I'm really excited about are with water. Typically, water off the grid looks like a well or a cistern, but there are off-grid technologies available that can harvest water out of the air for household use and recycle and filter shower water in real time to extend that essential resource several times over before it goes down the drain. Living off-grid is not going back in time. Living off-grid is going into the future. It wasn't long before we started to get into a rhythm with our sustainable, self-made utilities. It felt like a triangle of harmony in a way, where our environment was supporting our livelihood, and our livelihood was in harmony with the environment. This not only creates a greener footprint, but it felt like we became part of the ecosystem too. As we grew from solar to a cistern and an organic greenhouse and more, I really started to fall in love with the off-grid lifestyle, the reinvention of it, and the reinvention of what luxury looked like and felt like to us, especially in our ever-changing world. We've been faced with the pandemic, cybersecurity threats, weather emergencies, and more. Being empowered with our own private utility system to keep the fridge running and the lights on, no matter what, is an off-grid luxury the world needs. As time went on and was spending most of our time in nature, something strange started to happen. I started to change how I felt about living. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to like living in the RV. In the city, we lived in 3,000 square feet, so I looked at our 180 as a little bit of a downgrade. But what I didn't imagine was the upgrade it would be in our family dynamic. There are no secrets when you live tiny, and it's so much easier to be there for one another too. I remember in the city, I used to need a baby monitor to know when my kids needed me at night. But now I can hear them. Things changed for my husband and I too. Instead of the usual Netflix after the kids went to bed, we were now planning our future over a campfire, getting creative with our build plans, and growing our vision from just a house to planning corporations for the outdoor-minded. We had no idea all the ways that we would evolve through our off-grid journey. But stepping into the unknown is the place where expansion begins. After we'd plan, I'd stare at our city view just beyond the fire, and I realized I could still see the rush hour traffic. And I realized there are two worlds we can all choose to live in. One that is lit with the lights of the city, and the other that is lit with the lights of the stars. And I knew in that moment which world I wanted to live in. I knew in that moment I was finally home. What I want you all to walk away with today is knowing it's okay to start with where you are and with what you have. We went from the city to the gritty overnight because we fell in love with the view and we figured it out along the way. In fact, Operation View began as a jar where we put all the money from everything we sold to help launch our vision into reality. And I've realized that that is the real American dream. It isn't a job or the next thing or following some sort of status quo. It's saying yes to the risks and the adventure and the opportunities that help us grow and meet our potential. Our journey into the Colorado wild and learning to thrive off-grid unlocked that understanding. and showed me it's okay to walk away from the routines of life that were not serving my potential, but distracting me from it. I understand that not everyone can go off the grid, and the truth is, you don't have to. Adding things like solar panels or creating a backyard garden can make a big impact. But what will make the biggest impact is changing our mindset about what the future of luxury looks like. Does luxury look like relying on outside corporations for our basic survival, or empowering ourselves? Does luxury look like big houses with tiny backyards, or acres to roam? Does luxury look like taking advantage of the needs of our planet, or living in harmony with it? I believe in a world where off-grid living is the gateway to a brighter future. And when we say yes to the things that expand our potential, is the place where truly living begins. Thank you.